Hi! In this lecture, you will learn how to use the built-in attributes for the cursors. Actually, we saw some of these attributes in our previous lectures, like found, not found, but now we will see some more of them. These are called as cursor attributes, but since it will be better to understand, I sometimes call them as cursor functions. But the real name of them are the cursor attributes. There are 4 explicit cursor attributes. As I said, we have learned 2 of them, person found and person not found. Person found returns true if the most recent fetch returns a row, otherwise it returns false. Person not found returns true if the most recent fetch returns no row. We have made some examples about these. There are 2 more attributes. The first one is person is open attribute. We can fetch a row only if our cursor is open. We know that if we try to fetch a row that the related cursor is not open, or if we try to open the open cursor again, we get an error. Or if we try to use the person found and person not found attributes with a closed cursor, we get an error again. Person row count also returns an error if the cursor is not open. So sometimes we need to know if our cursor is open or not. Especially when we use cursors with procedures, functions, etc. Or if we use a reference cursor as a function parameter, we need to check if our cursor is open or not. If it is not open, we may need to open it. So we test if our cursor is open. In these conditions, we use person is open attribute. Person is open attribute returns true if our cursor is open. Otherwise, it returns false. Unlike other attributes, we can test is open attribute before opening or fetching the cursor. The last attribute is the person row count attribute. Person row count attribute returns the number of rows that has fetched up to now, not the whole number of the query result. Be aware of that. The number of rows that has fetched up to now. Now, let's make an example including all these and see how to use them. Declare. Now, let's declare a sample cursor and a cursor variable. Cursor c_amps is select all the columns from employees where department ID is equal to, let's say, 50. And v_amps is c_amps person row type. And our begin keyword. Now, let's first test if our cursor is open or not. If not open, we will open it. It works fine when you get a cursor as a parameter of a procedure or a function. If not c_amps percent is open, then now if the program enters to this line, that means our cursor is not open. So let's open it. Open c_amps. Now let's print something to see if it entered to this if block or not. dbms output.putLine, let's say hello, and our endif. Now we said that person row count returns the number of fetched rows. So let's print that for one and see what it returns. Let me copy the dbms output and paste in here c_amps percent row count. Now let's fetch a row and take another output. Fetch c_amps into v_amps. And let's paste our dbms output again. Now let's take the same output to see if there is any change. Now let's make another fetch and take another output. So I simply copy these and paste in here. And close our cursor. Great. Now let's see how to use that attributes in a loop. Let's open up the cursor again. Open c_amps and our loop. Now let's fetch first. Let me copy that and paste in here. Now let's use not found and row count attributes together. Let's say we want to print the first 5 employees, and if there are not 5 employees, exit. So I simply write exit when c underscore amps percent not found, or c underscore amps percent row count greater than 5. Now let's write a dbms output. C underscore amps percent row count and a space and v underscore amps dot first name and another space. Let's concatenate that, and v underscore amps dot last name. Let's now end the loop and close our cursor and our end keyword. Great. Now let's run and explain on the output. But before that, let's not forget to put the semicolon. Now let's run. Now let's check the outputs. Since our cursor is not opened yet, is open attribute return false. We said that if our cursor is not open, open it. So it entered the if block, so we saw the hello text. Then we use person row count attribute, but we haven't fetched any rows yet. So it returned 0 because the number of fetched rows are 0 for now. Then we fetched 1 row and printed the row count. So it printed 1 since we fetched only 1 row. Then we printed the row count again. Since we haven't fetched any more row, it printed 1 again. Then we fetched 1 more row and printed the row count. So it printed 2. We have fetched 2 rows up to now. Then we closed our cursor and open it again to start the iteration from the beginning. So our row count is 0 now. Then we start a loop and fetched at first and said that exit when the last fetch did not return any row, or exit when we fetched more than 5 rows up to now. Since our dbms output is below the exit when clause, it did not print the 6th employee. So with this code, we said that print at most 5 employees. Print the existing ones and exit when there is no next one. Since there are at least 5 employees, it returned first 5 employees. It's useful. So let's change our department ID to 20 and run again. Let's clear the output and run our code again. As we can see, since there are only 2 employees in this department, it printed for only 2 and then exited because person not found attribute returned true. Great. These are really useful attributes that you will need to use with the cursors. So this is the end of this lesson. See you in the next lectures.